So today we're going to be tackling something that I have not seen many creators tackle, and that is a map tier list. We're going to go ahead and rank all of the reserves. Alright, here we are. Here is our tier list. It is listed C through D, and for the most part the criteria is going to be mainly preference. A few key things like the ability to grind a certain species does come into play for several of these maps. Without further ado, here we go. Here's the tier list. We're going to start off with Hirschfelden. Hirschfelden is an interesting map. At a glance, it's not a very good map if you don't understand the original intention of the design. Hirschfelden was designed to be kind of slower paced like Classic. There was a dev blog that came out a few months ago about their intentions with Hirschfelden, and it makes sense why it's so slow. It's made a path and do things that I can't fully understand right now, and I don't really remember. Anyway, Hirschfelden, it's a very okay map. With the current meta in Call of Wild, which is kind of run and gun, it doesn't fit. It really doesn't fit in at all. It seems quite desolate. You don't see very much. Although, there is one redeeming factor with Hirschfelden, and that's the fact that you can hunt Canada geese, which are a major source of money. They're easy money. There are hundreds of videos on YouTube. Well, maybe not hundreds. There's quite a few videos on YouTube about grinding geese for some insane cash. And for that reason, I feel like it's very justified to put Hirschfelden in the middle. Next up, Layton Lake District. What kind of a person would I be if I didn't go ahead and slap this thing up in S tier? The thing with Layton that makes it better than the rest is how beginner-friendly Layton is. And that starts off with the accessibility of lodges to lakes. Layton Lakes is like one of the only maps that you can spawn at any given lodge and be 200 meters from the water source, or 300 meters. It is super easy to get all the lodges and get to the water source that you're going to be hunting on. Next, Layton's animals. Layton has very beginner-friendly animals also. Many of the things can be taken with that 243 that you get at the very beginning of the game. That being the whitetail, the blacktail, and you get a good sense of progression. Like, you work your way up. So you start on Layton just shooting the deer, right? You start working up, you get the better guns, you start shooting black bears, right? And then by the end of your game, you have the 7mm, you're going to be able to take moose. And that's just a good sense of progression. The missions are very rewarding in Layton. I'm already going to tell you right now that this map here, Medved-Taiga, is C tier. It shares many things with Hirschfelden, design-wise, I think. If you've ever hunted on Medved, you know how cold and desolate it looks. Its animal populations also feel the same. It, at times, is extremely boring to hunt as a map. It doesn't feel as though there's enough animals on it at any given time. Although, there is, again, like Hirschfelden, a redeeming factor. But this time, instead of keeping it out of C tier, it's keeping it out of D tier. And that is the fact that it has some pretty sick missions. I would definitely recommend getting Medved because, well, the missions give you a really cool diamond, and they're just really interesting. They're one of the darker missions that Call of Wild has made. Alright, next up is the map that is most likely in your top 3 maps of all time. It's probably in nearly every Call of Wild player's top 3 maps of all time. Vurhonga Savanna. This one's going right up to S. It is a super unique map that really just changed Call of Wild from the very beginning. We had maps like Layton, Hirschfelden, and Medved, and they were all really centered around forest and forest hunting. Vurhonga is the first map that that was the first DLC map that we really were just like, clapping our hands at EW. Fantastic. With diverse species and a diverse environment, we all just love it so much. So that's why it's going to be an S. Okay, Parque Fernando. Here is where personal preference starts coming in. I know a lot of people might slap Parque on S, but unfortunately, I only can give it an A. I find pumas to be extremely annoying to try to hunt with. Animals get super spooked by pumas, and it can make hunting some species, or grinding them, miserable. I'm also not a big fan of all the brush. This map has a lot of brush, although it does have some pretty good skins that come out of the missions, and it's got a decent storyline, so I would definitely check that out. Okay, next is Yukon Valley. This is a very good map. It's a very diverse map. This map has the most diverse environments in the game by far, and what I mean by that is just like difference in environment, right? You have the scorched forest, you have like the red plains, then you have the green forest, you have rivers, you have lakes. This map practically has it all, although there is one thing that just messes with it all, and that is the fact that this map just doesn't have enough lodges. This map probably has as many lodges as Layton or Parque or Vurhonga, but the way they're spread out is just so inconvenient. If you're heading on this map, you're going to need some tents, but that doesn't kill it enough to take it down to like a B tier. It is still a very A tier map. It also has very cool weather mechanics that we still haven't seen applied anywhere else on any other map. The snowing effect only is on Yukon, and that is also very cool. But unfortunately, due to the lodge inconveniences on Yukon, I feel it's only an A tier map. Next, we have Cuatro Colinas, the one map we never saw coming. Before this map came out, there was a teaser for it, and it was a painting with a bunch of antlers on it. Or horns. It turned out to be all horns. And we were not expecting a Spain map at all. But that is what we got. It was another red deer map, so everybody's like, eh. But over time, more value has been bestowed upon this map. And that is because of the red deer and how easy it is to grind them on this map. It makes it a pivotal map to do your Great One grinding, which is why that automatically is a high-tiered map. Now, it is unique with its 4 hills and the 4 ibex species. It is also very unique, and the ibex have unique mechanics to climb up the mountains, which is all very cool. The only real downside to this map is it will cripple your frames. If you have like any sort of average or below average system or an older gen console, this map will break its knees. I'm not even gonna lie to you. It'll break its knees, and you'll be struggling for a moment if you come across a couple herds of ibex. That's just what's gonna happen. And with enough rambling about Cuatro, we're gonna go ahead and slap this thing B tier. Next up, Silver Ridge Peaks. If you ask any creator right now what their favorite map is, it's Silver Ridge Peaks. This map makes content creation so much fun. You never stop the action. This map has animals everywhere, so you always keep the action going, and you keep the chat going. This map is a streamer's lucid dream for a hunting game. You never stop the action. It is very good. I can't think of a downside to it. I enjoy it a lot. That's Silver Ridge Peaks, S tier. Alright, and next we have Awoara. Initial thoughts on this map when it came out, we were a bit bummed. We thought we were getting Australia, and it turned out to be a New Zealand map. And I have to say, it was a pleasant surprise, so the map turned out very well. We have another map to hunt fallow deer on now. Thankfully, we don't have to hunt on Hirschfelden for fallow deer anymore, because that was a struggle. The ability to grind fallow deer in this map makes it already a higher tiered map, so you don't have to go on Hirschfelden. It just becomes a good map at that point. It's got diverse animals. I can't say diverse environment. I want to say diverse environment, but there are several spots in this map that remind me of SRP, like they were recycled. And I get that recycling happens. It just was a bit much. I feel like this map could have been a bit more diverse, which is why it's earning itself a B tier. And our last 2 releases that have come out to this game are Rancho del Arroyo and Mississippi Acres Preserve. These map releases just didn't get me going. I didn't like them very much, although out of the 2 I've played Rancho the most, and Rancho just gets to be A tier because of the Great One grinding factor. That's it. It's an easier way to grind Great Ones. I'm not a big pheasant hunter, so cool, yeah, flying birds, desert. Alright, anyway, it earns an A tier for me. Finally, we've reached Mississippi Acres Preserve. It's D tier. It is by far the worst map added to Call of Wild. It suffers Yukon's lodge fate. there are just not many lodges to navigate the river in this game, and the river is pivotal to getting animals and to killing animals. And on top of that, the Coleman 22 Hornet is basically dysfunctional, right? It just didn't work out. Now, this map will only be in D tier until Tuesday. Tuesday, we are supposed to be getting fixes, so we get more lodges, so it's easier fast traveling and getting around the map, which would bring this map, in my opinion, up to a C tier. But yeah, other than that, this is how the list stands until the 22nd. This would change, but go ahead and feel free to comment below what you would change out on this list, and I'll see you in the next one.